So you are stuck in a panic spiral and you want to go out. If this is something that happens to you occasionally, you know how painful it is and how much it impacts your everyday life. But I'm here to tell you that there are short, sweet, and effective ways that you can use to pull yourself out of a panic spiral whenever they happen. Now, first, let's talk about why you're having the panic spirals, because this is really important. I had panic spirals for years because my life was very stressful. But not only that, it was also nutritional element, right? So for me, it was a low blood sugar issue that went completely undiagnosed for years. And that would mimic panic, right? So if you're somebody who's feeling anxious a lot, who is struggling with panic, I want you to really get checked out and make sure that you're talking to somebody who can check your blood sugar, who can make sure that you're sleeping enough. All of those things have an impact. And all too often, they go undiagnosed because that's not what they're looking for. You're going to somebody who's looking at your head when oftentimes panic resides in your body. And again, like I do in all of these videos, I want to share that panic is there to save you, right? You don't have panic as a punishment. Any negative feeling that you're experiencing is a leftover survival mechanism, right? So when your body goes into panic thinking, panicked feeling, it is your body slamming on the brakes and saying, we need to deal with something here, right? So whether it is a blood sugar issue, like I talked about, whether it's something going on with your health or something that's going on inside your head, it is there to help you, to protect you. So don't be too hard on yourself. Everybody goes through this at some point, but let's talk about how you're going to get out of it once you're in it. Now, because panic is such an overwhelming feeling, the first thing you want to do is actually get back into your body, right? And so, one thing that I find works really well is lay down flat on something cold, lay down on a bathtub, lay down on the floor, because that starts signaling your body to cool down, to slow down, to pause, right? The other thing that you can do is you can splash yourself with cold water, grab an ice cube, run it up and down your vagus nerve, which sort of runs down here, and something that interrupts the pattern, eat something really sour, get back in touch with your body because oftentimes it just sort of like shuts everything down. And we want to interrupt that part of the panic spiral. But let's talk about what's actually happening in your head during a panic spiral. Another really well documented way to stop a panic spiral is through breathing. Breathing is what controls your body's safety signals. So you take 2 breaths in through your nose and a slow, long, and loud exhale, right? You can groan, you can sort of scream it out, but you start controlling your breath again because the panic shortens your breath, which just amplifies the panic. But by slowing down our breathing, we slow down the panic feeling in our body. Now, if you're feeling completely paralyzed, you don't have to move for this next exercise to help you get out of panic. It's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. And you can do this in whatever order you want because I find that when I'm in panic, I don't actually remember which one's which, but 5 things you can touch at the moment or feel, 4 things you can see, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can taste, and 1 thing you can perceive in any other way. So the order doesn't matter. What matters is that you are externalizing. You are stepping back outside of the panic and you're reconnecting with the world around you, right? So this is a really good way to ground yourself before we go into the next exercise for stopping a panic spiral. Now, the next exercise for stopping a panic spiral was one that was particularly helpful to me. I was going through a really scary, scary situation. And I was so desperate that I called a hypnotist because that's the only person I could find. And I was like, hypnotize me, make it all go away. And she goes, well, what's going on? And I laid it all out. And she goes, wow, like you're really deep in a panic spiral. And I was like, just make me feel better. And she goes, well, let's make you feel better. And so here's what she had me do. She had me name the next better thought. So I was in my mind living my absolute worst case scenario. I was catastrophizing like nobody else. And these were legitimate fears that I was experiencing, but they weren't happening yet. Right. So she said, choose the next best thought. I said, okay, well, if that happens, then this. And she goes, does that feel a little better? And I was like, no. And she goes, okay, choose the next best thought. Right. And so over the course of 2 hours, she had me ladder up to a reality where I started at people are going to die to, okay, even if that happens, it's not my ideal scenario, but everything's going to be okay. but you ladder yourself out of it slowly, right? Because all too often we say, okay, I feel this terrible right now, but I want to feel this good. How do I get there? I just want to jump, right? But your mind can't make that jump because that reality, when you're in a panic, that reality where everything worked out okay. And like, let's face it, when you're in a panic, feeling okay is probably a good place to be. That's not going to happen because your whole body is screaming, no, we're all going to die. So you ladder up your thoughts one by one, one by one, one by one. And you get to a place where, one, you imagine how you're going to get out of this or how this might unfold. But two, you've also leveled into a higher, more calm state of being where it's like, okay, actually, like I'm in charge of my life. I still have some authority here. I still have some power in my life. So even if this bad thing that I'm panicking about will happen, the worst case scenario of that will probably not happen. So again, to summarize, if you are stuck in a panic spiral, start by interrupting the signal with something cold, something sour. Allow yourself to lay down, right? Like just reconnect with your body, touch something cold. And I actually thought about doing a whole series from my bathtub because I was having a bad week once, but the lighting was terrible. So you won't be seeing that yet. Next up, reconnect with your breath. 2 slow breaths in and a long, preferably loud breath out, right? That is the signal to your body. It's the override switch. Your breath can override your panic spirals. Next, you are going to ground by naming things in your physical world. 5 things you can touch, see, feel, hear, right? 4 things, 3 things, 2 things, 1 things. That's also a really good method for falling asleep if you didn't know that yet. And then, of course, remember, when you're in that panic spiral, you can ladder your way back out, right? One of the most effective ways to deal with a panic spiral is to ladder your way back out because connecting from worst case scenario to best case scenario is too far of a jump. And so you choose the next best thought. And as you choose the next best thought, you are going to notice that your nervous system is calming down. Now, you have to remember that a panic spiral is not who you are. It is not what is happening. The panic spiral is a signal. It is not the symptom. It is not the condition, right? So it's your body's way of slamming on the brakes and saying, listen up, something dangerous is out there. And it's slamming on the brakes and trying to slow you down. The problem happens is when we get stuck in that place of, okay, my body just hit the brakes and I slam to a stop and I don't know how to get out of that, right? This is what these methods will teach you. They will teach you how to work with your body, work with your mind, work with your senses to level out of that panic spiral. And then when you're feeling a little bit calmer, or if you have the wherewithal, remind yourself that a moment of panic is not the ocean, it is a wave, right? Some days we sail on smooth waters. Some days life throws something at us that makes us feel like we're in the choppiest of all waters. But remember, it's not the ocean, it's just the wave. And you tell yourself this during and after the panic spiral. Because what I don't want to happen is that you start associating it with, I'm a panic person, I'm an anxious person, right? You are a person who is experiencing anxiety. You are a person who is feeling panicked about something, but you're a person. Just like anybody else, your body, your mind, your soul has everything that you need to live this life in the highest energy, in your best energy. That is what I teach here, is how do we actually start using the tools that we have, body, mind, and soul, to start building and living a life that we actually love. So if that is the kind of content that you're interested, I hope you subscribe. I hope you come back, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.